기자부대! I'm on the beat!
Welcome back to another JoJo chapter review. This time we're taking a look at the 9th chapter of the JoJOLands titled The Owner of the Lava Rock. Last month was our first ever hiatus in Part 9's run, although it was alleviated somewhat by all the new JoJo news we got that month. Since it's been so long, let's not waste any more time and get right to the chapter. Last time, Dragona and Usagi were stuck inside the luxury watch store after being accused of stealing. Meanwhile, Jodio and Paco discovered the bodies of the cats outside, and believed their enemy was nearby. To start off this time, we finally get another look at Jodio and Dragona's mother, Barbara Ann Joestar. She seems worried about his trip to the other island and asks if they're hanging around with Paco. One thing to note here is that despite the current fan translation sticking with he for Dragona, in Japanese, Barbara Ann doesn't actually use any kind of gendered pronouns for them here. So far, only Jodio has actually referred to Dragona as a specific gender. He ends the call, and he and Paco discuss who gave them the bag that had the cats in it. Paco says that whoever is doing this is someone even lower than the Mafia, with no interest in societal values. Despite being the cat's owner, they don't have any love for them. Jodio notes that the same person must have been watching Rohan as well. He remembers that in Rohan's villa he found a map that may have been the original location of the lava rock, and that place must be important. Paco suggests giving back the lava rock and just leaving with the diamond. However, Jodio is determined to keep the rock. He says that he's sure that Rohan was the one who discovered it and that whoever is attacking them isn't the real owner. Jodio also mentions his promise to Rohan that if they can't get the rock safely back to the plane, he would destroy it. We go back inside the watch store where Usagi and Dragona lay out everything they have to prove they didn't steal the watch. Dragona wonders how the watch could have seemingly moved on its own. They remember touching all 4 of the watches to the lava rock, but that only one actually disappeared, meaning something about that watch must have been different. The manager threatens to call the police, but the 2 of them get him to stop by accusing him of illegally detaining them. They start to review the security footage, which shows the watch being moved away under Dragona's bracelet. Immediately after this, Dragona notices the watch behind their pendant with the rock, having been moved there by smooth operators. However, Dragona has no memory of doing this at all. We're also shown a previous event when the diamond seemingly teleported from Dragona's pocket into the coffee cup near Rohan, with Dragona believing this was also due to it being unconsciously moved by their stand. After searching the pendant, the manager is confused to not find the watch there. Dragona is equally confused, having no idea where it just went. Usagi notices that the watch is snagged in the manager's shoelaces. Then it falls to the floor and starts to slide away almost frictionlessly. The staff profusely apologize before the watch starts sliding away again. Dragona says that this might go on for some time, but that eventually the watch will make its way back to the rock. Dragona theorizes that the mechanism for attracting wealth travels through people's emotions and connections, which is why so many unconscious actions seem to happen. We go back to Jodio and Paco wondering when the others will leave the store. Jodio suddenly sees Paco arriving back with food. He turns around seeing that the Paco he's been talking to this whole time was a decoy. The decoy skin seems to start cracking off in a way that reminds me quite a bit of a rock human, although it may be due to some new stand ability. The decoy says that Jodio still won't give the rock back to him even after giving him a chance before he knew too much. He stabs Jodio in the neck and the chapter ends. This was a great chapter to come back to after that first hiatus. We're finally introduced to our first real villain in the story, and with a great plot twist at that. First and foremost, I want to establish a timeline here for when this fake Paco actually appeared. We know that the real Paco was busy getting food, so I think the moment he left was immediately after Dragona and Usagi entered the store. There, he asked Jodio if he wanted chicken burritos, while in this chapter he says that they stopped serving them and he got something else instead, which is why he was delayed. This means the Paco that returned in that chapter was this decoy, which makes perfect sense considering the appearance of the cats inside the bag, which was done by the owner. This means that whole speech about the owner being someone below the Mafia, making a threat to them to indicate their personal code, and having no love for the cats actually came from the owner himself, and he was the one trying to convince Jodio to give up the lava rock. I'm definitely interested in seeing what kind of stand this person has which lets them almost perfectly mimic Paco. The line about how this person has no regard for any societal values and no love towards the cats also makes me consider that this person may be a rock human. Jodio's line about the rock coming from a special place may also hint towards the idea of blessings from the earth that was established in parts 7 and 8 with the Devil's Palm and the Walleyes. I'm guessing that the volcanoes of Hawaii, which have been a big focus of this part, are home to a similar phenomenon. I was also interested in Dragona's perspective on the mechanisms, in particular the idea that they operate through people's connections. This might be alluding to them working through people's subconscious psychic links, which is also how the arrow's power was transmitted between family members in the original universe. These connections also represent fate itself, being the literal gravity between people that causes them to be drawn together. I'd also like to take a look at our author's note this month. Here Araki says that he walks to work, but he keeps being stopped for police checks. They ask him things like what's in his wallet. He says that he can't believe he's getting stopped despite being over 60. This makes me wonder if this has anything to do with the negative portrayal of police that has been a big part of the JoJoLands so far. In other JoJo news this month, we got confirmation of the 3rd issue of the JoJo magazine releasing in December. Along with this chapter, we also got the reveal of the issue's cover, with a new illustration by Araki. As I assumed, Jodio is the focus this time. We also have a brief glimpse of Araki's new illustration of Lisa for the final chapter of Rey Infinito that'll be releasing in the magazine. In my previous video on last month's JoJo news, I went into everything new coming from the magazine, including a new manga chapter of Cool Shock Old BT, and the Malone and Ghiaccio short story. If you want to see me get into some more detail, go ahead and check that video out. Oddly enough, there's actually a mistake on this new magazine cover with the word bizarre being misspelled. We also have a trailer for the upcoming Phantom Blood stage musical. This was originally announced back in June, with the cast being revealed in August. The trailer shows all of our cast members in various poses, giving us a better look at their costumes, which, as I've said before, look amazing. The musical will start showing in February of next year, and hopefully soon after we'll get some kind of filmed version, since I'd love to cover it in detail. The last thing is the confirmation of the final DLC character on the 2nd season pass of All-Star Battle R, Wonder of You, and Toru. The character was shown off early through a Nintendo eShop listing, so there isn't a trailer for him yet. As I thought might be the case, Wonder of You the stand is playable, with Toru only appearing in cutscenes. This makes sense since the stand is the one who did most of the fighting separately from Toru in the manga. Based on the screenshots, we can see the effects of Calamity in action with an object hitting the enemy, and as I thought, the rock insects are also part of his moveset. Here we can see Obla-Di Obla-Da being used. While it's hard to tell, it seems that his super is the airplane door falling down and exploding, which I'd say is a pretty good choice. I'm definitely interested in seeing the rest of the character once he's fully announced, since JoJolian is one of my favorite parts and it's finally getting some proper representation in the game. That's about everything there is to talk about this time around. I'm really anticipating that next chapter when we might finally get a look at this new villain's design, and the same day having a ton more to look at with the release of the new magazine issue. If you're interested in that, make sure to keep up with the channel since I plan to cover both. If you want to be updated when new videos release, make sure to subscribe and click the bell to be notified when I upload. You can also join the Hum and Beat Discord to be notified on new videos and important JoJo news. I'd also appreciate if you support the channel on Patreon. There you can receive rewards like Discord perks and the opportunity to submit questions. I answer patron questions at the end of my main videos, so feel free to join at any tier and submit as many as you like. Thank you for watching. This is the part of the video where I thank my $5 and up patrons. Thank you to Alex Ramirez, Doorbell, Crayon, Rigo Vids, Zucato, Pumpkin Doge, Marrow, Almighty Quarth, Gatlin Grove, Lime Jinjo, Sponge Cake, Cakext, Feliciano Rabaja, Rayana Meme, Christian McDonough, Navi, Emmanuel Etienne, Pulse Dog, Great Riek, Carmotrina, Hunter Gill, Adam Grogan, Zach Greenfield, FIFO, Rob Goliath, Jacob Smith, Professor Foosball, and Ryan Ramirez.